right, cool. So I have posted this new assignment, number 6, assessment info and model, just to get you guys thinking about what this assessment entails. If you go under classwork, you can see all the different lessons that I have done for the biological validity internal. So just FYI for stuff for you guys to note, lesson 1 through 3 is really good in helping you learn how to analyze a source, which is what you're doing as a skill set for this assessment. Number 4 and 5 gives you guys background information about lungs, circulatory system, and potential complications, which is useful for you to be able to have enough background information to process the sources on vaping. And like I said, number 6 is just for us to have as a model. So, first thing I want to show you guys is, so you guys have read that document, is the assessment information, just so you guys are mindful of what the guidelines are. And this topic we're going to be doing is vaping. So on Thursday, I'll give you guys one article to start off with. Actually, I should backtrack. So on Thursday, I'll give everyone one article to use as, actually backtrack. We'll just go through this first. All right, so this is guidelines of what you need to do for achieve merit and excellence. It does go up to the excellence level. For the achieved, what you're thinking about is who produced it, who is the intended audience, and what is the intent or message that they have for this source. You should also be able to recognize the biological features and also be able to tell me, is this information accurate or inaccurate, and is there any bias in that information? That's all you need to do for an achieved. And what we have done to help you guys get the achieved and to help build up to merit and excellence as well is we have this template on analyzing your sources. So basically you're looking at the source that you're analyzing, and we've outlined what you need to do for achieve, for merit, so that way you can get started with it. So for example, who produced it, who are they, if it's an individual, what group or organization do they belong to. So again, like I said, that's one of the achieve criteria, is identifying who provided that information. The other achieve criteria is thinking about the main message, and then the intended audience for it. So those are all the achieve stuff. To start moving yourself onto merit, you need to think about what the vested interest is. The other thing for achieved is you need to describe some biological features. You have to analyze it as if it's accurate, inaccurate, or if it's biased. And that's all you need to do for the achieved. It's good to go through and give reasons to why this goes to achieve or merit level. It's good to do it even if you're aiming just for an achieve, because it gives me more evidence in case you make a mistake somewhere. So that's all you got to do for the achieved. For this assessment, you need to analyze 3 sources of information. You need to get all 3 sources at achieved to get an achieved overall and to pass overall. Does that make sense so far? Yes. Other things to keep in mind for the achieved. Oh, we can't zoom up there. Let's zoom up really big so you guys can see it. All right. Other things to do for the achieved is you need to have, like I said, all 3 sources at the achieved level. You should be describing 2 biological features. We've given you space for 3, so again, you have a backup. And 2 biological features need to be analyzed with your basic understanding of biology. So that's what you need to do for the achieved. All right. Going back to the assessment and the information for that, let me zoom up so you can see that a little bit better. Here we go. All right, for the merit then, we need to start thinking about explaining what the source is about. So giving reasons about why they have a vested interest in the audience and in this topic. Give reasons to how and why each feature is accurate. So that's when you're going to need to use your biological knowledge to back up their statements. And then also how or why this inaccurate or biased information could have consequences to the public. So that's what you need for the merit level. This template does have space for the merit. But if you are aiming for merit or excellence, you need to be writing a report. I haven't uploaded the report document, but it is between 700 and 1,000 words for each source that you're analyzing. And you're explaining, like I said, the reasons to why it's biased or unbiased and the impacts. What I have done is I have provided a link to the NZQA website, and this is some student exemplar work for analyzing the validity of scientific information, or I should say biological information. And what you can do is you can see how much did students have to write up in order to get a merit, in order to get an excellence, in order to get achieved. The other useful thing about this is it gives you information on what the student did well on and what their next steps are. So I highly suggest looking at this if you're trying to aim for a merit or an excellence on this standard, because it kind of gives you an idea of what we're looking for when we say report. Don't worry, you will have class time to work on this, and you are allowed to work on it outside of class time. We will also provide you with sources to get you started, so you don't have to go hunt around for sources. Does that sound good so far? So you can see, like I said, different examples and quality. If you're only aiming for an achieved, all you need to do is fill out this document here. Are we okay so far? All right. There's more, obviously, information in the assessment guidelines to give you guys an idea of what vested interest means, and also biased and unbiased, and accuracy, things like that. So it just gives you some more ideas of what you're looking at when you're trying to explain things. I think that's mostly it for that. So lots of information for you guys to do. Here we go. Assessment tasks, you'll be given multiple articles to analyze. You can choose which ones you want to do. You can do them online or on paper, and you are allowed to work on this at home. You will be given some class time to work on it as well. Let's see. Here are some of the points if you are writing a report and what you need for merit and excellence. So all the achieved stuff, like I said, can be covered on that document. If you are aiming for excellence, you really need to think about prioritizing of that information and the reasons. What's more important than others. And also for excellence, we're looking at the impact of the information and how it would influence what decisions people will make. And don't just think about as an individual scale, think about as a wider scale in society as well. What questions do you have so far after having a little talk about that? Keep going? Okay. So what I want us to move on to then is I want to show you guys, I want us to use this template here for our HPV vaccine. So what I'll do is I'll pass it out, the paper, if you guys want to do it on paper. If you want to do it on online, that's fine as well. And what I'll do is I'll jot some information in here, and whatever we don't finish in class can be your homework. So walk around and see if anybody wants to have a paper copy. No, I'm going to do it online. Paper. 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 If you're online, then you're just typing away onto that document. I made a copy for everyone. Paper or online? Online. Anybody else want paper? Anybody else want a paper copy, or do they want to do it online? Online? Want a paper? You want to do it online? Okay. Over here. Paper. Online. All right. Over here. Paper or online? Paper. Paper or online? This is all analyze. Online. Cool. I'll switch over to my document camera so that way we know what we're looking at. And I'll grab one of the HPV pamphlets as well so we can have a look at it. All right, cool. Let me get the document camera going. We'll zoom up for it. Okay. So first thing we're going to be writing, this is the blank template for all of your sources. I might turn off the light so you guys can see that a little bit easier. Get that a little bit brighter. Don't worry, I am recording it if you want to rewatch it. All right. Brighter? That's brighter. Okay. So, for this first bit, we are writing down what we are analyzing. So we are analyzing information on HPV vaccine. Obviously, for the assessment, you're going to be writing about vaping. The source we are using is the HPV pamphlet, and this is from, so I'll write down what we have. HPV pamphlet from New Zealand HPV project. Yeah. Better? Zoomed up? All right. So, can I move it? Pamphlet. Pamphlet? Let me see how I spell pamphlet. My brain's not operating on all cylinders today. You know we're not a good speller. Such is life. Oh, sorry. One of the things we have to understand about Miss is that she cannot visualize things. Pamphlet. No, I didn't. There we go, pamphlet. There wasn't an E at the end. All right, can I move it? Okay. So for the achieved, student name, source, analyze. So you should be writing, obviously that can go down there too. And that's your name. For the achieved, we need to think about who produced it, who are they, if they're an individual, what group or organization they belong to. So who made this? We see it here. The New Zealand HPV project. I can also see at the back here, New Zealand HPV project. So that's going to be our first thing for the achieved, is who produced it. All right. What was their main message or their intent for this? Yes, perfect. So again, that's the achieve requirement. All right. When we are looking at this, who do you think the intended audience is for?
Age from 9 to 27.
Yep, so we're looking at kids, and who specifically? So can the kids read this and decide whether or not they get the HPV vaccine?
No.
So who is it mainly targeting then?
Adults.
Adults, the parents, yeah? So parents of children. Down to age 9. I forgot to mention, totally flaked on my mind. So you know how I said you have to do 3 sources? For the achieved, all of them need to be achieved, but for merit, only 1 needs to be at the merit, the other 2 can be achieved. And then for excellence, only 1 needs to be at excellence, the other 2 can be achieved. Does that help relieve some of that stress? Okay, sorry, it totally blanked my mind. The other thing is, I will give you 1 source. Everyone will do the same one as our first one. And what I will do is I will mark it and give you feedback on it. So that way you guys know what to improve for your next 2 sources that you do. And the next 2 sources you will be able to choose out of our list. If you manage to get an excellence on that first source, the other 2 you can just do it achieved. Does that sound good? No, so only the first one. So first one I give you feedback, the second 2 are going to be your finals, and then I just mark it and give you a grade. So if you only get achieved on the first one, then you're going to have to make sure you can either write up both of the samples, so you have 2 opportunities to get merit or excellence, or you can choose just to do 1, and that's only 1 opportunity. If you get not achieved on that first write-up, then it means you're going to be writing up 3, because that gives you another, because you need 3 total. Does that make sense? Does everyone? Okay, totally forgot about that. All right, so that is stuff we need for the achieved. The other thing we need for the achieved is to identify biological features. So let's have a read through some of this. So some myths have suggested that vaccines made existing infections worse. This is not true. Studies show no worsening pre-existing diseases. Ideally, the vaccine should be given before your first encounter with sexual activity because it does not treat the HPV infection. So there's going to be lots of biological information in all these sources. Ideally, the more they have, the better the source. So if I'm looking through this, one thing that I can, actually, that's just giving some advice. Let's keep going and try to find some better ones. All right. Not only is the vaccine safe, but it also offers long-lasting protection. Current data suggests that vaccine protection is ongoing with no sign of waning. The mechanisms of the immune system memory has been demonstrated, indicating that the vaccine will provide long-term protection, possibly for life. So that's giving me some information on how vaccines work. In fact, I might read the whole thing before I start picking out some sources to say as my biological features. I might just read the first page and give you guys an example. HPV vaccine protects fertility. Studies show the same rate of pregnancy and births occur in vaccinated and unvaccinated women. In some cases, not being vaccinated can lead to adverse pregnancy outcomes such as miscarriage, prematurity, or low birth weight. Related to the weakening of the cervix as a result of treatment for HPV disease. So, what can I say first off about a biological feature is that not being vaccinated can lead to adverse pregnancy outcomes. So that's a biological feature that I'm looking at as one example. And we see here how it gives me information to why the pregnancy would have unfortunate outcomes, such as miscarriage, prematurity, and low birth weight, because of the weakening of the cervix related to the treatment of the HPV disease. So that is one of my biological features. Like I said, there are multiple throughout this thing. That's just the one I'm choosing as my first example. So biological feature number 1, not being vaccinated can result in pregnancy complications. So when I think about pregnancy complications, we are talking about miscarriage, premature birth, and what was the other thing? Low birth weight. And this is because of the weakened cervix. So that's my first biological feature that I'm looking at. what you would then do is you'd have some information on the biology information. That's why I posted information about lungs and circulatory system. Cervix is obviously a part of our reproductive system. It's basically the location between our vagina and our uterus, and if that gets damaged, then the baby isn't going to stay inside the uterus. So that makes sense biologically wise that it could have pregnancy complications. So looking at that, is that information accurate? Yes. Is it biased? No, it's giving me a fact. So that's an example of what you're thinking about for the achieved. What I want you guys to do for homework is to find 2 more features in that article, and then you can think about if it's biased, unbiased, accurate or inaccurate. You can fill in the rest of the sheet if you want to try aiming for merit, but that's just to give you guys some ideas. Do you guys want more time to process this source, or should we just move on to vaping and you guys can start the internal? You want to move on to start vaping? All right, start vaping. Don't start vaping. All right, so just to recap today, we were looking at those, oopsie. Yeah, that's for you. You should do it as homework. Sorry, didn't have that in the right spot. Anyway, we're looking at purpose and biological features. All right, that's us.